What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 109 of Rules of Villainy. I am Brad, aka the Mayor of Lorcana, and probably the voice you're not expecting to hear right now. With me, as always, is, I think I'm obligated to say, your favorite villain, Villain Andy. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm the voice they were expecting to hear right now, right? Is that what what you're referencing?
Maybe. Yeah. No, I was referencing Vince. Vince is out of pocket. Yeah,
in the Stone Age. He got
having some internet issues, unfortunately. But some good something I thought about on the way home when he dropped the news on us is that a little bit of news. I don't know if it's his news to break to you, but I think we're all really excited about it. Vince got his pass to judge the North American Continentals. Really excited. He thought he didn't get it, and then they came back and said, "Yeah, no, you're welcome. We got you in." And I thought on the way home, I'm like, well. It's like a little bit of give or take, like Gantu giveth and Gantu taketh away. You get your judge spot, but you're losing your internet tonight. You're going to miss episode 109, which is unfortunate. We wish he was here.
And a lot of times we can accommodate, but this week is a busy week. We are just nonstop grinding, working to the bone here. So we've got a ton of stuff going on. Do we want to jump into Underworld news?
Let's jump right into it. Why don't you start with the first bullet point?
First up, Kirsten was on Enchanted Chatter this week. So it will be in a couple days ago by the time you're listening to this. She'll be on just moments after we finish recording here in the other room. But be sure to go check that out. This is, I think, her second or third appearance on there. She loves hanging out with them. So be sure to give them a subscribe, a like, a follow, a ring the bell.
Yeah.
We'll have those links in the description so you can catch her all the times all the great guests that they have on there. It's a great little live talk show they do.
Love that. That's Courtney over there. I actually was privileged to meet her in Indianapolis for the first time and was really excited to see her because I do, as Andy said, love the content that she puts out every Wednesday night. She goes live with somebody else in the community talking about just whatever's on her mind in the Disney Lorcana world. And it's a great tune in. So definitely check that out, as Andy said. Also happening on Wednesday nights, Tuesday and Wednesday nights, is the ICL, which we are honored to be on again for the first time this season. And this upcoming week, we are going to be the feature on Wednesday night. And it's going to be exciting because it is St. Louis versus Chicago in the Rules of Villainy versus Ink and Lore. Really, really excited about that. It's like the Cardinals and the Cubs in the Disney Lorcana world. So really, really excited to see that. We don't know. We haven't narrowed down entirely who's playing, have we? I think we know a couple people. But maybe we keep that under wraps. So,
we'll find out when we show up at the table.
Right.
Best of luck. This is our second round. We're looking to bounce back after the first round and continue moving forward. Do even stronger than we did before, and keep competing. This is not the first big event Rules of Villainy has competed in. We've taken down Questamania. And I think it's about time that we, show up to the ICL and let them know.
Keep them on their toes. Yeah, and I will say as well, Ink and Lore does have an Instagram. I'm going to have that in the description below to go follow them because we very much want to promote our other creators here in this Disney Lorcana sphere here. So I'm sure they're great. Everything I've seen on their Instagram looks great. So definitely go check that out as well. Following that, one thing I'm really excited about. I haven't been here in a couple weeks, but to talk about it on the show proper. But I have been talking about it on the Meta Report. Registration is now live for what is fixing to be the biggest Disney Lorcana event in the greater St. Louis area. We have the Black Cauldron Cup coming up in October, the weekend of October 10th. We have a 5K and a run back 1K on Sunday. It's going to be a blast. He's going to have Jeff over at Impact Gaming Center is fantastic to work with. He's thrown in a bunch of side events and all kinds of other goodies that's going to make this event worth checking out. We are going to be hosting that. We are going to be streaming that here on the Rules of Villainy channel as well as the Impact Gaming Center Twitch channel. And I'm super, super excited. How do you feel, Andy?
I heard that there will be at least one of these things at the event. A petting zoo, a Ferris wheel, Gordon Ramsay, a cosplay contest, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. At
Whoa!
least one of those things will be there.
What?
It's the cosplay contest, guys. I couldn't hold it back. So we are thankful. Kirsten and Rules of Villaini's own Julie as well,
Our
cosplay
only
expert.
golden Mickey.
Yeah. Are going to be putting together just a little fun thing. So if you do want to come and cosplay, there'll be a chance we'll get to show them off on stream and to everyone there. We'll get a nice round of applause, and we'll have maybe some goodie bags for participants or winners or somewhere in there. They're still working out the details, but get your sewing and cosplaying instruments together and see there.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Definitely, if you're thinking about playing, definitely get your registrations in now. The bigger we get, the more prizing that can be available. So think about registering now and see how this event evolves in the coming months. And we can't wait to see you either there or on stream. And why don't you take us out of Underworld news with the last bullet point here, Andy?
Yes, we are going to be hanging out on a Friday night, this Friday night, probably if you're listening to this when this came out, it might already happen. Like, check the thing. It might say live under our name right now. The D23 live stream, which will be happening Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. We will be watching the Twitch stream. You can come join us on YouTube if you'd like and hear what the villains have to say. Listen to our reactions. Just come hang out with us in the chat. Really, we'll have maybe some special guests on. Just have a good old time. So we'll see you there.
Yeah.
Or see you right now. Hurry. It's soon, depending on when you're listening to it. Or you missed it. Go back and watch it. There's a lot of good information in that D23 thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I can't wait. I got a question for you. Just a little tangent. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to like your answer. There's a lot of speculation with all of the hype around Kingdom Hearts 4. Do you think there's going to be any? Okay.
No.
Well, all right.
Well, so this is how I think it's completely debunked, because I also saw one of those banners with Stewie Griffin and Brian Griffin from Family Guy. I also saw one of those
because they have Hulu on their platform.
Yeah, with everything. There was a banner for literally anything. You name it, and it probably had a banner there. I think it's really hard to say that that it would be cool, right? I'd be all for it. That'd be neat. I know tons of people go crazy. But I've lost my love. I think I haven't played since Kingdom Hearts 2, but I did enjoy the first two games. And I know it has a rabid fan base. People love Kingdom Hearts, sure.
But I don't know. I don't know how much I would love it in the game, at least for now. There's a lot of other things to explore in Disney proper before, the already collab that they did with Square Enix. But who knows? They're always surprising us with something. Maybe they'll start teasing it. And I think the Ink Dark might be a good opportunity to actually start thinking about it or hinting at it or something, but we'll see. From there, before we move on to our main segment, I do want to give a couple shout outs if you'll allow me.
Certainly.
Monday night, we had a huge turnout for just a regular weekly league at Open Play League at game night. And 3 different people offered me a Scar Enchanted. I was already in talks with Paul, who ultimately I got it from. Him and Melanie are just absolutely fan. They thought of me when they opened their 3rd Scar, and we worked out a deal where I'm gonna get him something in the future for when he's looking for something, and make sure that I reciprocate that. But shout out to Brad and Ron, both were trying to part with their Scars as well. It's just a testament that they know how much I love that character, and especially this game, collecting all the Scar cards that I can. I wanted to give a shout out to Paul and all 3 of them for being just absolutely fantastic, and my lovely wife, who during her pin tradings and stuff online, she happened to come across an extra Tinkerbell from the Curator's Kit.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she came running in here about a week ago. She's like, "Hey, how much is the Tinkerbell worth in that curator's kit?" And I looked it up. It was like $88 or something like that if you wanted to buy it at the time on the secondhand market. She's like, "I got it for 40." And I was like, "All right, let's go."
Nice, nice.
Yeah, it was super super sweet of her to think of me and her hobby as well, and to get me that Tinkerbell card. It just came today, and I'm really excited about it. So shout out to both of them, all four of them actually, for their generosity. And yeah, just wanted to do that really quickly. What do you say we talk about some decks?
Sure, absolutely. We've got,
Oh,
the ICL coming up for us with the competitive team. I'm sure your leagues back at home are starting to kick off. People are starting to put away the crazy Kevin decks and starting to bring out the real decks.
I'm glad you have.
Yeah, Brad's starting to put away the real decks and bring out the crazy decks.
That's not far from the truth.
He's like, "Oh man, this deck's getting too good. Let me add a bunch of 7 dwarves to it."
I was playing detectives on Monday night against my own
Not
Boosties
bad.
deck because Steven was waiting on his deck to come with Link. Link was getting a ride over with Chip, and so he didn't have his deck. He was playing my Amber Ruby Boosties deck, and I was running my detectives into it. And Justin walked in from Snuggly Duckling, and he's like, that deck never beats that deck, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. It was miserable. Steven just walloped me, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not ideal. Yeah, maybe a board wipe with a timely, uh counting house might be able to do it. Certainly draw a lot more cards than them.
yeah. So what's the first deck we're going to talk about tonight?
So I guess I'll talk about the deck that I've been, most enjoyed playing with and like practicing with. I think it's the deck that I'm leaning towards for this set. Bring this up here. This is Amber Amethyst, or Amberthist, if you will. Uh, I was telling Kirsten earlier today when we were out with the dog outside. I was like, Amberthist is doing pretty good. It kind of feels like Blurple or Ruby Amethyst used to feel. Maybe even Amethyst Steel, kind of where you have this play line that is essentially good into every deck. There's just like not a deck where playing a 1-drop, ramping on 2, potentially playing another 1-drop, then just going 4, 5, 6, and your 6 being Demona, refilling your hand, and then
Yeah.
you have the board, you have a bunch of questing power at that point, lots of draw power, so it just feels really, really strong. I think some
I
of the
never thought of
cards. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I never thought about in that comparison, but I think you're right on. In fact, saying it's basically the new Blurple because Blurple, of course, you were looking to ramp on 2, get out 4, 5, 6, like you said, and this is the deck. Blurple no longer has, unless you want to play 1 jump, you don't really have ramp on 2 anymore. But now you have Ham and Grandmother Willow to boost yourself right up to the same play, line to essentially the ramp that Blurple used to have, and it's it's right there. It's like in your face, but I never actually made that comparison before. It's like, oh yeah, this is just Blurple with yellow or amber.
Yep. It's a little more
Yeah,
vulnerable, obviously, because like Willow and Ham are characters that can be banished, whereas
yeah,
Sail and Tipo are forever. The ink from them are forever. So like,
yeah.
I guess
That's
maybe
fair.
there's a world where we play like Lantern instead of like the Ham. Um, but I think the reality is you enjoy the ink ability of the Ham, and a lot of times they don't really have a good challenge into it. There's a couple decks maybe that aren't great, like boosties, because they could have like a Scrooge, a 3/3 on turn 2, um, and then they can just take out your Ham cleanly. Some cards that just kind of feel not as good in the current meta in my practice are actually cards like Mowgli, although I fully understand that I think Mowgli like needs to exist in the deck because there's always going to be those moments where you really need to disrupt that one out that they have,
Yeah.
which is often an action. The pumpkin doesn't really seem necessary. I feel like pumpkin would be really, really good if there was a way to give an opponent this character evasive. But there just doesn't really exist a great method of doing that in these colors. That you'd want to play really. I know there's the other Dumbo, and then Nala, I think, does that. So the pumpkin probably could maybe go. I think World's Greatest is like so good. And even though you have 4 Gaston that are better than World's Greatest, like with the
body, yeah.
Augustin, disgusting Augustin, as it was called in our chat on Deck Test Tuesday, is a pretty bonkers card, frankly.
Yeah.
Plus 3/6. Like,
It's hard to get rid of.
well, there's
And
just
what I talked about,
nothing
what
like
I talked about in the
spamming that
meta
in.
report too, is his 6 body holds up to 5 damage for your Ohana, which
So
was
good.
which was a huge difference between yours and Justin's deck. There were 2 amberthyst is what you're calling it, decks on my meta report this week, and the big difference was you were running Ohana while he was running Raging Storm, but everything else was virtually identical there.
So
And the bodies here, the 4 bodies, the 6 bodies, even there's a couple 6 bodies with the Mrs. Incredible as well, and Demona that just hold damage for infinite card, not I shouldn't say infinite, but massive card draw.
yeah, so fun fact, you don't actually need Raging Storm to apply the pressure of Raging Storm. All of your
I know.
opponents are just going to believe that you have Raging Storm. They're gonna count your ink, they're gonna
This happened to me on last Monday,
act
not
like
this
you
past
got
one,
it.
but the one before. I was playing Nick from Trading Card Market, and then I was watching Chip later play Kristen, and both decks. I was playing around Raging Storm in my first match with Nick, and he never played it, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" And then at the end of the game, he's like, "Oh no, I don't run that," and I'm like, "That's an interesting choice." But then I realized, you don't really need to, as much as you're just dropping characters and have the board control with the exertions and the damage moving. That you can get rid of everything anyway, especially with the support, the Gastons, and everything else. So
You also
it was
don't always ink that high too. And
also
nothing comes too long.
that was
So
Chip's argument too. He's like, I'm hardly ever up to 8 ink anyway. So if I have to play Raging Storm, I've lost this game. And then I watched him play Kristen and just flood the board and do all these things, getting all the draw that he needs. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's just no reason to run Raging Storm in this one unless you're, for some reason, need that one out in a niche situation. But yeah, I'm seeing this deck be very successful with and without it. But I feel like leaning toward your version of it is where I would run it if I picked it up.
my favorite is using a Lanwi to support the opposing opponents like Hades or something, and then running in your Augustin to get 5 damage, and then playing Ohana, and they're just like,
okay,
cool.
That's cool.
Cool. But yeah, the pumpkin I think could be adjusted now. Dumbo, honestly, probably not needed. In my opinion, like you have other draw engines in Demona and stuff, and like Dumbo's just like really, really, really easy to remove. I would almost maybe play something like Colors of the Wind instead. Play additional Isis, additional Gustin, additional Tigger as your 4 drops, and then play like that Colors of the Wind, so they can sing that and just kind of draw you 2 cards probably.
How much success do you find with the Louisa shift? Do you do that a lot, or is it just
about as much
in
as
there because of
about as much as Cheshire?
Yeah,
it has its opportunities against aggro. I think it's super, super important. I was able to against Kristen, a teammate at a locals, I was able to she exerted a 1/3 or something, and I ran 2 of my I ran a Louisa and a Ham in so that I could, and then finished it off with the Louisa. so I could get 1 damage on each of them, so I could then move all the 1 damage. So I purposely spent like 3 characters challenging 1 just to stack up damage, and moving damage with Louisa was like super clutch there. So like
Yeah.
also a 3-drop 6/4 is pretty imposing. I
Yeah.
think that's fine.
She takes out virtually everything, right? There's
Yeah.
nothing that, like, besides being evasive, that stands in her way,
Yeah, so
at least at that point in the game.
maybe more Hades and like a Colors of the Wind, and you can maybe drop the Dumbo or something. Mrs. Incredible is just great in general, I think.
I love
Um,
that card.
Ursula's not bad. One of Ursula, I'm kind of always on board with. But yeah, this is the list I've been running with. It could definitely be tweaked, but I think ultimately Amber Amethyst has like this really strong matchup into most of the mid-range decks, which a lot of these mid-range decks are trying to beat the aggro deck. And so as long as we don't see more control decks, then we'll probably be okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to this Amber Emerald deck that I pulled from Humble's public list here. He called it
Ooh.
Birthing Pod, which I think is a Magic reference. I'm not certain. I'm not keen. I'm not privy to terminology from other games. But
Who was not
yeah,
like an anatomy reference or something?
I don't know. I know that it's a group chat name, which I'll talk about later, that I'm in Discord regarding some really fun items, but a little bit of foreshadowing for later on. But yeah, what do you think about this deck? We're running the spiciest card in here. This is a Circle of Life deck. I should talk about Circle of Life, of course, coming in and Fabled, a 8-cost Sing Together that allows you to play a character from your discard for free, and that opens the door for so many possibilities with the Prince Philip, the Chernabog, the Stitch. You've got a 1-up Stitch in here, and then Milo, of course. So if you can get some singers out there really early to cheat out that Circle of Life, and you have something in your discard, that's crazy, like a 7-cost already or a 9-cost, that it's almost cheating. But the spiciest card in here that I really, the reason I wanted to talk about it was the Retro Evolution device, which is a card that I was testing back in the Infinity before Indianapolis with that chat that I was just talking about. The Birthing Pod chat is a 3-cost inkable item that you can banish a chosen character for 1 ink and then cost up to, or play a character of the cost 2 or more than the banished character for free. So it's kind of a ramp card for 1 ink for all of these, ramping up your card or your characters up to the higher costs a lot quicker.
Think of it more like a shift.
Also,
It's more
sure,
of like
yeah.
a shift type.
Except it still has
mechanic.
to dry. Yeah.
Right. It
Yeah.
still has to dry, and but like, because it's a 1-for-1 replacement. You're replacing one character with another character that's bigger for a cheap cost, right? You're paying less than the cost of the character by replacing a different one with it. In fact, I would argue with Humble in person, face to face, bring it on. I'll do it. That this list is maybe a little outdated, or maybe it's ahead of the time. Maybe this is too cutting edge, but I feel like this should be more geared towards retro devices. The decks I've played against that I feel more successful play more retro devices. They play more Chernabogs. They really look to, get out that 3-drop Todd, cycle through a bunch of cards early on with like Lyle and the Strike a Good Match. Get out that Todd, play a retro, swap the Todd for a Chernabog, remove their big character that they've pretty much just gotten to on turn 4 to 5-ish. And then from there, you could swap a Chernabog for a Milo. And then from there, you can swap a Milo for a Prince Philip if you need to. And I think really riding off of the back of that is what's,
Yeah, and that's 8 lore right there too. Of course, you want to keep them on the board, but you're losing the ward on Milo for a 3-quester with evasive instead. But yeah, as you said that, I went and I looked at the date, and he hasn't updated this list since July 15th. So this deck is a month old and has evolved since since its creation here.
Yeah, I think you
But
lean even heavier into the retro evolution device, and then Sully is I think just a good card in any uh list because you can chain Sullys forever.
yep, yep,
So you have a Sully, you banish it with the retro evolution device, and you can play another Sully and get that Sully back, and then
yep.
whenever your Sully is banished, like that's a really really good tool to kind of to cycle those through.
There
Um,
is a Chip and Dale card, shift card from a couple sets ago as well that I remember seeing Dylan. He's a Continental qualifier this season from Milwaukee. He was playing at Collector one night, a Circle of Life deck, and he was using the Chip and Dale shift to get a. Like, I think you have to put like 4 cards in your discard or something. Or
no, I think
I,
it's I think it's whenever you ink, you get a card back from the discard. Like it's really really powerful. It's just
yeah.
expensive and uninkable.
There's a Chip or Dale card as well that allows you to, when you play it, you throw a bunch of stuff in your discard,
Oh yeah.
and then you can shift into the pair, and just start getting stuff back. In addition to the retro and the rewrite history that we have here, and the Sullys and the Circle of Life, it's just a big resurrection deck here. That's seems really 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 interesting. But yeah, you got any other thoughts on this one?
Not on this one specifically. The big payoffs here for Amber are Circle of Life, which kind of brings things back. I do think rewrite history, right? Or is that might solve a mystery?
It's rewrite history.
Rewrite history, which brings it back
Yeah.
from the discard. I do think that sort of recursion can be really nice, and a Cood is obviously an insane card. But I do think that there is other retro evolution device decks that exist that kind of do the same thing. This is one that I found. I don't know. I haven't tested this list. I don't know anyone who has, so I apologize if this is like someone says this is a totally jank deck, but we'll look at it for the sake of looking at it, and it kind of fits the same sort of bill here. Actually, I have played a different list than this. I built it in paper and I forgot to save it on Dreamborn, so I don't.
Oh no!
I don't have a copy of that one. I'll have to remake it, but same kind of concept. Lyle, right? And this time you have Elsa or Todd on 3 that essentially draws you a card or replaces itself,
Sure.
or and then you can retro evolution device from there into Aladdin and Genie is a really great way to fix your hand, or even just
That's a
a way
great
to
card.
draw cards. Yep. Chernobog, Hades is now also an option at 5. You can, jump into that. It looks like they're also playing Louisa here, which is, interesting. Terran as well as a 5 cost that has
Oh
Rush.
yeah.
Another interesting choice. And then from there you can jump into Milo, into like a Prince Philip. They also have Elsa, Big Elsa, which is one I haven't seen but is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah. I love that card.
Buzz Lightyear is another one I've seen. I think in the list that I'm testing, it has Buzz Lightyear, the big one.
Sure. Get your actions back.
Get some actions back. Strike a good match. You want to play. You got the Malicious Mean and Scary. I've Colors of the Wind is another one that I've seen played because it adds draw alongside the guidebook or without the guidebook. Even some of them don't play the guidebook because Colors is recyclable with Buzz Lightyear.
Sure.
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. That one gets played potentially. Even it's decent tempo.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is another interesting version of it. I know some people on the Rules of Villainy competitive team have been testing it, certainly more than I have, and I've said it felt really, really nice. One of the better retro decks out there. But I would be remiss to not point out that there is another Among Us.
I'll put it in there for you.
You got it?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, this is an Emerald Ruby version of the card. of the deck that is spicy, spicy, spicy. Even more, all the way up to 10 cost with the dreaded Leviathan, 10/10 quest for 3. The one thing that I was thinking about this on earlier when we were talking about the device, as the Leviathan itself is, we have to remember to get that second card in the discard, right?
Yep.
While we're triggering the ability of the Leviathan. So the card gets banished from the retro device. So that's one. But at the time the Leviathan is played, there has to be a second card in the discard as well. So that's another thing that you'll have to remember if you're planning to do that.
So they have your normal options in Strike a Good Match, the Todd as well. And remember, this Leviathan costs 1, essentially, right? Because you're using the evolution device on something like an Olaf, which, I've played practice games here. They've got Inner Strength and Improvise. So that's 8 1 cost plus 1 cantrips.
No, there's 12.
But then there's also the Dangerous Plan that draws 2 discards 1 at random. Strike a Good Match, Todd. We're throwing cards in the discard. This only plays 1 Gaston Moliere, but I think it should be playing maybe even a full 4, because that can also trigger for something like a Leviathan. And you throw all of these things in your discard. You're searching, and you end up with just basically nothing but Olafs and Leviathans in your hand. You play an Olaf for free, -2 lore, banish it with retro, play a Leviathan, and so now you've cleared their board, -2 of their lore, and you've only spent 1 ink. You're just
disgusting.
So, maybe I'll play a Bushroot or something and threaten 3 lore next turn, or,
This is very much like what you would call I like that it's Christmas colors, green and red, because that is very much a Christmas scenario. But the way you describe it makes it sound moderately doable,
doesn't not
right?
work. It doesn't not work, right? Like I've tested this against actual players that knew what they were doing and were serious about this, and it I lost several games. Like it's good. It does it.
But
It does the thing it does the thing just as good as any other retro evolution device deck.
Sure.
But having the ability to board wipe with Prince Philip, Malicious Mean Scary, or Leviathan, I think is a very, very strong advantage that it has. And this is only playing 4 Ruby cards, so there's probably more you can consider. You could I'm sure you could adapt this to any meta that you're looking at.
It's fascinating. I love that. I do like the inclusion of Max Goof as well. Both of them, the shift and the shift target, recurring songs and playing songs back out of the discard if you're looking for a certain card, or trying to get stuff into your discard again by getting Strike a Good Match back. There's several ways to get that trigger for the Leviathan, and do the Malicious Mean and Scary combo again too, because you're a sociopath and just want murder.
You can. It does really, really good. And Leviathan, much like Prince Philip, it's a 3 questing, hard to remove character, right? Like
10/10.
Gaston or Criminal Mind is
which is
where it's at, but
very prevalent. Yeah, like with all the amber in the meta, Leviathan's not lasting long. Can you imagine Gaston, just a little 5-cost Gaston shooting his bow with the Leviathan and it just disappearing? What's going on here, man?
Hey, no one fights like Gaston.
It's true. I have heard that. Shoots Leviathan like Gaston. Yeah, I like it. It's something I would very much like to test out. Maybe I'll bring it to boat. Or I'm going to Disney Trivia Thursday night. You're not going to see me. You're not going to see me last night as this airs. All right. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I mean, there's definitely some others that are in contention as like good meta decks. I think we're gonna skip over like Robots, Amethyst Steel. We've talked about that last week a little bit. I haven't seen that change too much. Boosties. Do we want to talk about boosties? That hasn't really changed much either.
I could do
Um,
without it.
I know boosties
We,
is good, but um,
we can talk about your wife's deck. Let's talk
sure, we
about.
can talk about Steel Song a little bit. Do you have
Yeah.
it's my wife's list. You can bring that up. Let's talk about that. I wanted to see if we had the alien alien list.
Oh yeah.
So this doesn't have it, but it's not
Yeah.
too far off. So we can still kind of talk about it a little bit here. This how it's like a 15x4, is it? Oh no, there's 3 Criminal Mind, 1 Gaston. That is really interesting. I guess the value of the song is really nice. I'd almost maybe put more in if we could, but um, this is pretty standard Amber Steel. Uh, the one thing I would love to see, and I'm not sure she's tested it out yet. I haven't, but I've seen it played. If you watched, I forget where it was. I know I also got to see it in our ICL match. So we'll probably put out a video on it at some point here. The Amber Steel like aliens deck, I guess you could call it. Right? It's
Hot.
essentially this list, but it runs Pleakley,
Oh,
the
I have.
Amber Pleakley.
Yeah.
If you have an alien in play when you play this, draw a card. So that's
Yeah.
nice. It's 2/4, and then it also plays the Lilo, the 3-cost Lilo that +2s everything, gives challenger +2 to
Oh yeah.
everything
Yeah.
when it's played. But then also when it quests, it gives an alien character +2 and can challenge ready characters. So you do that to your angel, who then has resist, and you can swing into their readied characters, and it can be really kind of gross
Yeah.
that you're able to do that. So
I forgot about that secondary ability of that Lilo. It's always just been a challenger card for me. I was never really running
yeah,
a lot of aliens in my Ruby Steels and whatever else I was testing her out with. But wow, yeah, that's actually kind of big.
yeah. So this, I don't have a list here. You know, I'll have to do some research. You guys should look into it as well. I'm sure there's plenty of lists out there, but if you haven't seen it already, try and get some information on that. The like alien challenge, just that combo alone, even if it's just this deck, like I could see Kirsten just swapping in some of that Lilo, that 3-cost steel Lilo, because just right off the bat with like Angel, Surfer, Stitch, um, even Lilo and Stitch, I think is considered an alien. But the small Stitch with some support to it, Angel with support to it, all of those, you know,
Where would she put it? She does have a lot of 2-drops. I understand why the Lilo with supports in there to activate the world's greatest criminal mind in the Gaston, but
and the shift target.
in the shift
Um,
target. But you only need one of them, and that's what you got the Stitch there as well. Uh, but yeah, I guess those are the only 2 targets for it.
probably the
Sans the
4
5 cost
damage.
draw.
Probably the 4 damages, the 4 damage spells that you throw away with Angel and get to play for 2.
Yeah,
You can
that
maybe
makes
get
sense.
rid of them there, and now you're replacing them with a character, which is also really nice. You could also adjust some of the other numbers as well. You know, just like 3 Mowgli instead of 4. 4 Mowgli is kind of a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, interesting. This deck whipped my butt last week or the week before. Whenever I played at Bodax last, I got paired into Christian in round 3. It was the week 1 where you were playing Kevin Control, and I thought she had lost to you, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a decent matchup or whatever. No, she cooked me. She's like, oh no, I beat Andy too, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I was going in this thinking that we both had a mediocre night. Not anymore. She went 3-0, and I think I was 1-2. But yeah, really strong deck. I do like the Steel Songs back as a staple of the game back in the early sets. So
Lilo and Stitch actually is another good reason for the Louisa that we talked about earlier.
moving
If
damage.
they
Yep.
shift Lilo and Stitch on 3, you can shift Louisa in response, and a 6/4 takes out the Lilo and Stitch 3/5 with resist 1
Yep.
cleanly. So that's a good check to have there, I think.
The
because
problem, yeah, the problem is
otherwise,
that they could run anything else into it and take out your Louisa, but that
well,
threat, that's a bigger threat than Louisa is, honestly,
so if
right?
you played a regular turn 3 and then they shifted their Lilo and Stitch, maybe you
Yeah,
even left some bait for them, so they quested their Lilo and Stitch to buff up one of their smaller characters to challenge into yours, and now you shift your Louisa, you take out their Lilo and Stitch, you have 3 damage on your Louisa, you can pay 1 and remove 0 damage from one of your characters to Louisa. She then has
sure.
3 damage, and then you can immediately move that 3 damage somewhere else. So that's
Yep,
only a 4 ink play, right? If you have the little
that's
Lisa
fair.
already in play. So that's
Yeah.
um the
I know
Louisa
Kirsten
itself
though. She sees that that little Louisa on board. She's gonna hit it with a strength or something. Even if it feels bad to hit a one cost with a strength, the consequences of not is the big Louisa comes out and messes up your day. Even though she can just get hit by the Thunderbolt as well. So I mean, this deck has answers for lots of scenarios there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strong deck. In you know, just a 3/5 resist quest for 3. Shifting that on turn 3 is absolutely insane. Um
Yeah.
so
Want to talk about one more deck here that's been kind of working its way up the rankings? Let's throw in this Emerald Steel deck that a lot of hype around this. It's got me excited about it too. I've been, like I said earlier, I've been enjoying the ducks, the launchpad combination of drawing with launchpad when Darkwing Duck is on board is a really good one in Sapphire Steel, but that's not what this deck is. So that's a utility of this deck. But what we're looking at here is the Eleanor package in Emerald Steel, just the hard removal of uh, the steel color, with the Darkwing Duck also opening up the 3 damage from the Terror who flaps his wings. Of course, Thunderbolt is in here as well, Strength of a Raging Fire. Angel with the same combination that we saw with Kirsten's deck in the Look What You've Done to play that out of the discard after discarding it with Angel. But the card I want you to sell me on, that I still, until I start playing with it and see it for myself, I don't understand, is the Mushu. How do you feel about the new 3/2 evasive Mushu?
what's wrong with Mushu?
It's so easy to take care of.
It is. It's really, really easy to
Like,
remove.
every time I see a Mushu in testing, I'm like, okay, cool. Terror that flaps in the night,
Yep.
or whatever else, that they can not say. I don't play Fire the Cannons, but just an example,
Right.
Fire the Cannons, and
2
it's just,
damage is easy to do. Yeah.
yeah.
It's also
But
easy. It's the amount you can remove with a Cheshire Cat.
sure,
It's very much in range to be removed with a lot of things. I think ultimately, so are kind of a lot of your characters. This is more, it's an Eleanor deck, so you are going to have to put your characters somewhat in harm's way anyway.
sure,
Making them evasive is nice. The big thing is also Mushu isn't your only draw engine, right? So if they use something like a pumpkin on Mushu, Vixie is arguably a much more, diabolical threat there because of that questing for 2. It's just like
sure.
Surfer Mini or Surfer Tink.
1/3. Yep, that's
Yeah.
basically what that card is. Yeah, with the
Or Surfer
spinability on it.
Peter Pan, I think also was a 1/3. Quest for 2.
Yeah, from a few sets ago. Yeah.
But you can play it cheaper with Todd, right? It costs 1 less if there's a Todd in play. Is
Oh,
that
it
true?
does. Yep. Yep. If you have this character named Todd or character named Todd in play, pay 1 ink less to play this character. So that's fair. A little 2
Good.
cost action there. They're not running this, or they are running the 1-drop
Or
Todd here.
1-drop
Yep.
Todds, Pegasus. And then you can also shift that Todd into a 3/3 quest for 2 Todd on turn 2, and that counts as Todd and Copper. So that also still counts for the Vixie. You're playing a lot of really good value characters here. I don't know about this Donald Duck in this list.
It's additional item removal. This is the card at now here's a card that Indianapolis, I saw Garrick in the Top Coat. A lot of people were standing around watching him play. I think Adrian, and it was somebody at least, and he dropped this Donald Duck card to get rid of an item on board. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't Boosie's that was being played, but it was. I was like, "What the heck is that card?" And I realized that it's been a tech card in a lot of steel decks for the incessant items that need to be dealt with. Even especially in this set, I understand why it would be as the rise of the retro device and the Webby's Diary, things like that.
It's fair.
But that and Benja looks like to be the only item removal in here.
Yeah, my first thought would be like, why is my very top end, my only 5 cost, a 4/6 that quests for 2 that removes an item? Do I really, a 3 cost 2/3 quest for 2 that removes an item seems fine. Like, why wouldn't I just run 4 benches and then I never even have to make it up to 5 ink, right? Or
Sure.
if I make it to like 6, now I can play 2 benches, or 5 ink, I can be playing 2 characters instead of 1. It also makes me then think, oh, should they be playing something like Smolder, since they can, potentially discard it with something like Launchpad or Angel if they have too many extras. But I think with 3 Launchpad, the 4 Eleanor, and the 4 Mushu, you basically that's a decent amount of draw engines. Like, that's 3 different types of sort of draw engines that hopefully you can get off and repeat. But yeah, Smolder
Yeah.
maybe be a consideration, but this deck is really interesting. It is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it out. I've said on the meta report before, I started off falling into Emerald Steel at the very beginning of the game, set 1, which is why I probably lost so much. Is the joke I always make. But when it turned into a discard deck, it just felt bad to play it, even though it was very, very, very successful. And now it's back to a place where I'm like, this seems like a fair, or maybe a little bit more than fair, or less than fair, I guess. Whatever. You know what I mean? Stacked in its favor kind of deck, but not in a way that feels bad to, where you're stopping your opponent from actually playing the game. You're just, drawing a bunch of cards and banishing their stuff. So
It feels
they're at least getting to play it.
Yeah, it feels like it has just enough, like, annoying, like, just enough cards to do exactly the most annoying sort of thing to your opponent. You play a card, they play a card, they play a card, boom, they've pinged your card away, and you're like, oh, all right, and then they quested, and then they like played something else, and then they ping your card away again, right? Because they've got
Oh man.
the Vine, the Terror the Flaps, like you said, the Strength, the Thunderbolt, the Darkwing that pings 1, Angel does 2, Eleanor
That's a
that pings
spicy
1.
card.
So they got a lot of ways to sort of just be pinging all this damage, and
Yep.
I think it's just enough to be really annoying and kind of allow them to get enough tempo to sort of finish out the game. Doesn't feel like it has a great finisher, right? Some of the more other Eleanor decks are, I don't know, Under the Seeing You, or like Pocahontasing You, whatever. They are kind of just winning in the 2 turns sort of deal.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot
It
of
is
people say it's a
interesting
really,
indeed.
really good underrated deck.
Yeah, I'm interested to try it out. Hopefully, I can get some reps in the next few weeks. Maybe take it to the Black Cauldron Cup. No, I won't be playing in it, but I will maybe take it to a set champs. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Definitely
Maybe we have
the
a
locals.
Pack Rush the Mayor station. You can sign
Ooh,
up in line and pay
that would be fun.
$50 to Pack Rush the Mayor.
No. Just the price of the packs is all.
He
That would
gets
be
to keep
fun.
all of the packs. The mayor keeps all the packs.
I don't need
One
any more
photo.
cards. No.
One
Yeah.
photo. Do not touch the mayor. Do not touch the mayor.
Oh my God. You are welcome to shake my hand
I'm
or give me
joking.
a hug. I'm a hugger,
I'm joking.
but only if the recipient is a hugger as well.
Consensual hug.
Consensual hugging is the best kind of hugging. There's a podcast title for you. All right, let's move on, shall we? You want to answer a couple viewer questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's the first time I get to do Constituents Corner in what feels like forever. Our first question comes from our own ROV archivist and cosplay extraordinaire. Julie asks,
Puzzle
how do you
champion.
get Puzzle champion? She's like Khaleesi. We're just going to give her all the titles. Sooner or later, as we introduce Julie, we're going to have just a dozen different titles that she's earned through just being here with us on this journey. Julie asks, how do you get through any nerves you have before a tournament? I'm nervous about I'm nervous about my one time per year individual puzzle competition and don't know how y'all handle it consistently. Yeah.
So, how do you handle the one time per year, Brad, that you have to read a viewer's question and you ultimately humble your way through it? And how do you keep those nerves down? Because
that more accurately, I mean, presently, yes, that is the most current example, but more accurately, the one time a year I get to host the podcast. And what the viewers don't know, unless you make it some kind of cold open or something, is that I fumbled the intro in the opening seconds after asking Andy, hey, how many times do you think I'm going to have to do this? I was so confident, and then I failed miserably. But no, to answer Julie's question, it's tough. As somebody who is overly anxious about a lot of things, despite my online presence here on the podcast, I can talk for days, but I deal with anxiety quite a bit. It's really just kind of breathing. Like I tell myself that you're just having fun. You're playing a game. Like I approach the DLCs at this point a lot different than Andy and the competitive team does, where they are putting their heart and soul into trying to win and do their very best. I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to do
no
well.
one ever was.
Yeah, yeah, but I am not putting that kind of stress on me because it would eat me alive that I wasn't performing as well as expected. And I deal with that in other ways when it comes to making my meta report or whatever else. I am kind of a perfectionist and I do a lot of retakes and I do a lot of stuff, and I have to eventually tell myself that it's okay to be not as perfect as you're expecting it to be. Just have fun what you're doing, because this entire rules of villainy thing and my a part in it is to have fun and spread the love of the game and remind myself of that constantly, that's what it's about. Like I would love to do well, I would love to get a golden Mickey, but that's a high ceiling for me to mentally put myself through. So it's just breathing and reminding myself. Yeah.
You're also too old to win a golden Mickey.
Oh yeah,
us old people are cooked. Yeah, we're so cooked.
I watched a 10-year-old do it in Milwaukee.
Now we're
scraps
with a restaurant owner.
How do you deal with your nerves? Do you ever go into kind of nerves?
Yeah,
I remember.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I remember your first set champs at Bodex, like the feel. I just being a viewer of you, tying for the top cut at Bodex with Justin and to get the play mat, or I don't remember, but I remember seeing your like relief come off of you when you got there, because at the time in set 3, that was the highest stakes thing I think that you've
ever done.
We've all been a part of, right? And
yeah, it's crazy.
Why that card is probably to this day still your favorite card. But I remember the relief coming off of you at Bodex when you got there.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it today?
Today I also like kind of take some relief in the fact that I have other avenues of enjoyment in the game.
Yeah.
We weren't making content back then. We weren't hosting tournaments back then. In fact, my enjoyment from winning, the payoff from all the nerves, is what sort of started a lot of this stuff. And so, now I kind of just sort of tell myself, it's just another game of Lorcana. I saw, I think it was a tweet from DKP recently that is like, one card at a time, one turn at a time, one game at a time. Like, take the game, it's just a game. have fun, try and do your best at every step you can along the way. For me personally, I get more anxious and more nervous the better I do, right? Because now the stakes are more and more mounting, right?
Yep.
You are like higher and higher up, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? This, is- you know, you're going for the high score, right? And so that's rough. But really, you just got to keep telling yourself it's just another game of Lorcana. I played a million of these before. And this is the reason why I've played a million of these before, so that I'm ready for these sort of moments. And sometimes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's just how the cards are shuffled.
Yeah, the one set championship I won, I did it my way in just playing a deck that I enjoyed. It was not the top deck in the meta. It was just a
Was
thing
that?
where a day. What's that?
It was that night.
It was that night, right? It was a day where I told myself I literally told Emily, I'm like, I'm just gonna go have fun. Like, I'm playing a deck that I enjoy. I don't expect to do well. And matchup roulette, which was also wasn't in my favor because I think I played Steel Song twice, and which is the worst deck in the Ruby Fasa. And it just everything aligned that day. And I think it was the mentality of just going, I'm not going to try hard. Like, I I'm just going to play what I like and play with friends at a new store. It was an underground dojo in Collinsville, and it worked out. And I think that the mental weight of that being off of me was just like, on to the next one. Well, I'm not stressing out over it. I was maybe a little bit toward the end, about making the top cut and being successful and finding that play map. But ultimately I went there with the attitude of just, not trying or not, playing top meta and just playing what I enjoy, and it worked out. And I try to maintain that all the time. It just it doesn't always work out, unfortunately, but still got to remember to have fun.
It was his first time there. He whooped all the locals, stole all their prizing, and never went back.
I haven't been back. It's
He
never worked
sold it
out.
all. He sold it all online for
No, it is
millions of
right
dollars.
there,
I know.
right
I'm
there.
joking. I'm joking.
But the one
It is
champion man
far
I've
away
have,
from you.
I've never played on it. Yeah.
Um,
All right, let's move on. We got a couple more here, and we are running out of time. But I think this one is important, given the current meta. We at Crash the Wolf asking, how important is item removal currently? I feel like it can be taken, or can take it out a few decks completely, like boosties, but otherwise it's dead in the water. To add to that, what is the best card for it currently in Steel? Pluto for multiple items, Mulan because she can sing most songs, Benja because he's cheaper, Find him and Flatten him because it's a song, Emerald, Sabotage for the niche multi-item decks, or Wildcat because it's an evasive body. Oh, and he's got one more with the Aladdin that I think it cost 1 ink to banish an item when he's played from the current set. Lots of options there. It sounds like you want to play Emerald Steel if you want to get rid of items. I know we've had divisive opinions on Find 'em and Flatten 'em in the past, but I feel like that's a card that's been talked about quite a bit more lately, especially with Kevin Control, with the amount of items that you could throw out on the board there. You specifically, I wished I had Flatten in my deck that night I ran Dwarves into your Kevin Control. But how do you feel about these? They're all cards that have been around for a little while, Mulan and Aladdin being the newest ones. Any thoughts on them?
Yeah, I think ultimately it depends on the deck, but I think we've addressed this a little bit on this episode. There are, I think, enough items that you should probably, if you can, in your deck, respect some items, especially if they cause you trouble, right? Um, Cards like Webby's Diary cause everyone trouble. If they can draw a ton of cards, they get a lot of, advantage. Retro Evolution device is probably going to cause a lot of people a lot of trouble. You get rid of these cards. These are good ones to get rid of. And for those, you only need the single item removal.
Yep.
Find 'em, I Flatten 'em is really the only answer to the Kevin deck, because every card in that deck is essentially an item or an action. And so, you can't get rid of all of them. You can oftentimes hurt them in the way that is most painful at a particular point in time. Later game, get rid of their ink casters so they can't push over the line before they run out of cards. Early game, stop that early book so they can't draw. Stop a Buzz's
That
arm
book.
right before a board wipe at some point. all kinds of things there. So single item removal is still probably your best option. As for which one, um, you know, Benja, if you're trying to go fast, Mulan kind of stinks in my opinion. The Pluto is probably your best option if you can wait, right? Like
Yeah.
the 5 cost Pluto that whenever you play another steel character, but it really just whatever one fits into your deck the best. Emerald, if you're not playing any items, I think Sabotage is great because every single item that is a problem for you, more than one is double the problem for you, right? Like if they have more than one, it's like extra big, so you might as well be able to take them all out. I think it also hits locations. Is that true, or is it just an
Which
item?
one?
Sabotage, is that banish an item and all items the same, or is it an item or location and all with the same name?
Banish chosen item or location,
And then all with
and
the
all
same.
other items of the location of the same name. Yep.
Yeah, so that's not a bad one. I love Wildcat. It's a 2/3, I think. Exert to banish an item. It's
He's got
evasive.
evasive. Yeah.
That seems really good, but like, you know, you'd have to look at the decks with the items and are they able to remove, if I play a Wildcat, I can't use its ability right away. So
Right.
I can't play it early and say, "Oh, well, go ahead, play your Webby's Diary." They'll just be like, "All right, well, let me just find my red alert first. Let me just find my, uh, horseman if we're still playing that. Let me just get rid of your character in some way first,
Sure.
and then I'll play my item." Or if they have the item and then you have to, you play it and then you're just like, "Please don't have the answer," and then I can get rid of your item. So
Yeah, I think Pluto, in my opinion, of the ones listed here, Pluto would be my choice solely because of the fact that like the biggest item that
Sully,
you're going to see the most of. What's that?
Sully, you're playing Sully.
No, Pluto.
And you said solely. I know.
Did I?
No, you
Oh,
said solely because, and I was like,
oh, okay.
Sully, because why?
No,
I'm sorry. I'm
no,
trolling.
no, you're fine. No, you're totally
I got
fine.
Vince on it
We're
really
we're
good
off.
last episode. If you guys missed out on that, I have to add it to like a
I
compilation.
forget what it was. I did hear it. I did hear it when I listened to
Wild. He
it.
said it was wild.
Yes. uh I lost my train of thought. Pluto, out of the lists here, I think I prefer Pluto the most. Maybe followed by Mulan, only because I think the item you're going to see the most is Webby's Diary, and by the time they establish that and get to use it, you'll be at the time where you can play either one of those to get rid of it. That comes out on 3. They're not ramping to get it out any sooner, and they're not really utilizing it until turn 4 or turn 5 anyway. So you could take it. Huh?
It'd have to be 5 unless they played it on 3.
Yeah, played it on 3, and then
Because
they
you
could
have to
boot.
pay 1 to boost and 1 to draw. So it's got to be a
Sure.
3 cost
Yeah.
item plus the 2. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
a lot later than you might think. So yeah, Pluto's a pretty good option.
I think, yeah, Pluto, because solely for the fact he's a 5/5, so he dodges the red alert that Andy was just talking about, but he does open the door to be Gaston or Criminal Mind against being a 5/5. But he does quest for 2, and he activates your other steel characters in banishing, getting lore when banished, the old Calhoun effect. So
Yeah, but
I do like.
who does dodge red alert and Gaston Criminal Mind?
Who's that?
Sledding
Mulan.
Donald.
Oh, Sliding Donald, the
Sledding
one that you
Donald.
were
4/6.
concerned about
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that is the answer,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know if you were thinking about that one, Crash, but Donald is certainly a card that has been popping up. I was genuinely shocked with Garrick dropping that at Indianapolis in the one match that I watched of him playing, and was like, oh, okay, that's pretty incredible. And he has an epic version of that card as well, so
Nice.
worth probably picking up if it's on the cheap.
Yeah.
All right,
I was gonna say the other thing you can do is like if you play one of these in your list, as you're playing the game, just think about the other options in your head as you're sitting there.
Yeah.
Would this be better if I had this other card, like in this scenario? And just try and like
Chip?
mentally compile as much of that information as you can over the course of your testing. And that's what I do, sort of to try and help hone in on which one of these I think is better, because they all do the same thing, but one has like a slightly better niche second ability than the other does, you know?
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move on to our final question before we hit everybody with the villain of the week. This question comes from Karan BKK. They joined our Discord to ask, hi, I'm not sure if this topic has been explored yet, but I was interested in hearing your thoughts on how do you guys feel when playing in competitions and the opponent asks for a win to send them up since their ranking is better? And from calculations, you don't have a shot at making top cut, but they do. This is a tricky question. It's a spicy question. Because it falls along the lines of where I am, as I talked about just previously with my anxiety, that I genuinely like I want everybody to have the best time. I am nervous about calling a judge, as nobody should be. Their judges are there, or lore guides are there to assist you. That it's absolutely not okay for them to do that. Even if the math looks like it is correct and you want to be nice and let them through. I have seen personally situations where the math wasn't right. You know, people go on ChatGPT and they do all the calculations and all this stuff. And they propose these situations that it's like, you don't have a shot, but I do if I get this win. But ultimately, I try to avoid those scenarios, and if they're persistent about it, they shouldn't be, because they're really not supposed to ask you to do that. I would call a lore guide and explain the situation, say, you know, however you gauge the situation, and tell them like, hey, here's what happened. I'm not comfortable with this, because ultimately I'm there to play Lorcana, Disney Lorcana, and that's what I'm essentially going to do. There might be a niche situation or something, but I don't even want to say that that's true. I feel uncomfortable when those questions come up in any side of the matter. Yeah, it's against the rules.
You're being too nice about explaining about how you would be too nice in this situation. You know, it is against the rules to ask your opponent to concede.
Yeah,
you know, and the workaround that you will see, you know, Brad's right. It feels awkward to call a judge sometimes. It never should. You know, you don't need to be the person that is like sort of jumping straight towards the rules, you know, to calling the judge and like pointing out the rules to them and saying, oh, you asked. Because what the people will do is they'll say, look, you know, I just wanted to state out loud that, you know, I, you know, believe that I have a chance of making it if I win, and you do not have a chance of making it if you win. You know, any player is allowed to concede at any time. You know, are you ready to play the game or something like that? That's not asking you to concede. That's simply stating the facts out loud to you. And really, you can't blame them for sort of doing that, right? There are some tools online, not ChatGPT, not AI tools necessarily. But there's a couple good ones like tournament percentage calculators where you can put in how many people there are, how many rounds there are, and they can just straight up tell you, you know, if you have 3 losses, there is 0 mathematical chance you make it into the, you know, top whatever cut, right? And you can, some of these scenarios are obvious, right? And I don't think there's really anything wrong where if you have nothing to gain and they have something to gain and they're a good person, that, you know, that's a world where that can exist, right? Especially if it's a friend of mine, right? If my buddy Brad here gets paired into me and I have a pair down and he wins and he goes to top cut and I win and like maybe I have a slight percent chance or something like that, I have no problem being like, sure, go ahead. So it's not like this can never happen. But if you're at a competitive event, you don't know this person from no one, you know, and especially because I've heard some of these stories that people are aggressive about this. Hey, you don't have a chance. You need to concede. Can I, you know,
unacceptable.
will you concede to me so that I can win? Don't don't accept that. Call a judge, point out that they were doing this. They'll get a warning. Just explain to them that, you know, you don't want to concede. You know, you don't want to be approached about that kind of question. Just play the game out and do the best thing that you can.
I would also, in that situation, if I can jump in, Andy, in that situation, because again, I've seen somewhat examples of this as well, because people can be, you know, salty at that response, which I want to avoid. I don't want to make people upset or whatever. after like
They're
something
already
like
in
that
the
happens.
wrong for asking
They're
someone
already
to concede. So of course they're going
yes.
to be wrong about their reaction to when you tell them no, right?
Yeah, so I want to address the fact that it might be a good idea to ask the judge, if even privately, if you have to maybe keep an eye on the game too, because that could open the door for them to make your game miserable, by slow playing or by, just calling out things that they don't. I'm making hypothetical situations here, but like I could see a world where somebody is denied a concession and then decide to, you know what, fine, I'm just going to, you know,
Slow
rope.
play,
What is that? What they?
or
Yeah, slow play and all that. And
we heard about that scenario supposedly playing out in a CCQ recently, I believe. Or
yeah,
maybe it was just a high level event. I've heard that story more times than one. You're absolutely right. Like, that's fine. Ask the judge to hang out there. That, I think, is a rare scenario.
sure.
Honestly, more often than not, if I'm in a scenario where I know that only one person stands, when one person stands to benefit 80 to 90% of it, and I have like a very slim chance, or they have a very slim chance, a lot of these times it's our friends, right? We are at set champs where there are only 30 people, where you can do all of the math together on a sketchboard, right? Very simply, very easily go through all of this. And a lot of times, this is a great community that we're in. A lot of times, myself or others who have already won prizing, um, push forward those who have not and say, hey, go on and, win this, you know, for yourself. Right. And if we don't get that opportunity and we win the thing, a lot of times we share it with other people. So like, there's definitely a world where you can, concede to your opponent, or I shouldn't say ask your opponent to concede, but in a world where you and your opponent are like, realize the scenario at hand, but you should never ever pressure someone into doing that. You should never ever
100%.
accept being pressured, or, even slightly pressured into anything like that. Um,
Well said.
yeah.
All right, that'll do it for the questions of the week. I appreciate everybody who wrote in to get their questions asked. If you would like your questions answered, feel free to drop a comment below. Find us on the socials at Rules of Villainy, or come to our Discord where you can ask in the Constituents Corner channel, where I think all three of these were actually asked. So, yeah, a lot of fun over at the Discord. Andy, do you want to take Villain of the Week?
Sure. Villain of the week. Did I do it right? That's all right. Apologies to Gantu and Vince. This is a I ruined his intro. This is a 3-cost inkable item, the Retro Evolution device. It's emerald. It has one ability: turn into dinosaur. Exert
Dinosaur.
dinosaur. Exert,
I'm a
pay 1,
dinosaur.
banish chosen character of yours, play a character with cost of up to 2 more than the banished character for free. And it's great for reheating leftovers, and it turns people into dinosaurs, says Stegmit.
Yep.
And it's art by Matt Chapman. It's from set 11. It's a really interesting card.
It's a fun card.
We've talked about how good it can be to sort of leapfrog you, this 3, 5, 7, 9, that essentially Emerald just brings with you for Todd, Chernobog, uh, Milo, and Prince Philip, Big Phil, Uncle
Big
Phil,
Bill.
Uncle Phil. uh, and then, the problem, I just want to start off by just roasting it. We're just going to roast the Retro Evolution device here.
Uh-oh.
Is
Uh-oh.
I want to start off by like, you have to get rid of a character. So you're just always trading one for one. Your board never gets bigger. It just gets better, right? You're just upgrade. So have you ever played one of those like online games, like the phone games, where like all the little people march around and you have to put the like little cannons or little archer people, and they shoot and they try and stop the guys from
I know
attacking
what you're
your
talking about.
castle,
I get
right?
those ads all the time. Yeah, tower
They're all
defense.
over the ads. Yeah, tower defense. There you go. That's what it's called. That's what it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah, that's
So,
the type. Yeah,
you know,
but yeah.
back in the day, we used to play those before they were just like cheap ads on your phone, and like you realized early on that the strategy of just building one single, you know, attacker and then just like upgrading that to like Baymax level awesome just didn't really work. You needed, damage per second. You needed like a swarm,
More dots.
right?
More dots.
Yes, you needed more people. And so I am more a fan of a wider board than a taller board, I guess you could call it. I don't know if that's what they call it,
Fair.
or a
I'll
bigger
allow it.
board. Bigger makes it
Yeah.
kind of also seem wider, but like a wider board instead of a taller board. So instead of one good character, a lot of medium characters, but you can't really deny its raw power of just being able to, um, you know, ramp you up in characters in a
But
cost
if
effective.
I could, if I could interject though, it only costs 1 ink to do it. You can still play characters with your other ink throughout,
Where are you getting
through
these
those
characters
turns.
though? Right. That's great,
Well,
but like,
that's
where
a
are you
good.
getting
That's a good question. Yeah,
where are you getting
that's
them?
a good question in the current. I'll have to actually play around with it in the current meta. What I wanted to talk about was I saw a post from Lorcana Report the other day that said nobody saw this coming, and I kid you not. I talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm in a group chat with Rascal from LOL and Mike from Questing Queens and my friend up in Detroit from Glass City, and he thought he cracked the Infinity meta with this card. They did back before DLC Indianapolis, and we were talking and theorizing and running reps on Emerald Steel with bouncing from the dual ink Maui to the Floodborn Milo from set 3 to return all characters to the board, and the Prince Philip, of course. There were some webbies and stuff in there too to ramp to it or ramp up and all. The deck was absolutely insane, especially setting up for Infinity because of the dual ink Maui. You get him out there, you quest for 3, you banish him, get rid of all the items that all you Sapphire Steel kit players were flooding the board with, and then use the Milo to bounce all the characters back to their hand when he's banished to play another Milo or something else, refilling the hand with Whole New World and just running away with it. It was absolutely insane. And then the time I took it to Bodax to play to test it out against you, I got you round 1, and you're playing green emerald sapphire items, and I couldn't do any of the fun things. You shut me down with it all. Oh, bummed out by it because I was like, this is the deck I might take to Indianapolis because this retro device, nobody was playing it at the time. And
Yep.
we were secretly in the chat,
I call it
just
jank.
cooking. I'm sure you did, but I shouldn't say I was cooking. They were cooking, and I was just kind of following along like, this is awesome, guys.
I
I
just
love this card,
imagine
and I love seeing that it's getting played now. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just imagine like Brad and his buddies have like this little treehouse, this little fort out in the woods where they're like planning out all of this retro evolution device stuff, and they got the string and the tied up to all the different things. And then I just imagine Jack Skellington opening the door and looking around, going, "What's this? What's this? There's magic everywhere!" And it's like Christmas decorations all over it. And then he's made it to magical Christmas land. That's
Oh
where he's
man.
at, and he's But hey, he has a lot of fun while he's there, right?
It's so fun. I love that this card's here. I love that it's popping up in decks, and I love that it's popping up in a way that is like, that's kind of a problem. But like you said,
Yeah.
card draw has to exist with it as well. Because if you are playing other characters at the same time as banishing one of another one, you're going to run out of cards, and you can't do it forever. You can't use the retro device if you don't have any characters in hand to do it or
Very true.
to maximize your value out of it. So, any other thoughts on that on the retro device before we move on?
No, we do move on to the artist showcase here. Matt Chapman was it 18 other cards in the
18,
game?
couple reprints, but yeah, 18 unique cards, I believe.
And is this Epic Donald the Epic Donald?
It is, ironically. That
Wow.
came up organically in the podcast, and it turns out to be one of Matt Chapman's illustrations in
we
the
planned
game
all this.
as well.
We're so
Yeah.
good. We planned all this. It's in our script. Get a signed mayor, a copy of the script from this episode by the mayor if you join our highest tier on Patreon. I'm just saying, fire the cannons, besties. Let's
Besties
go.
Assemble. Yeah, that's a
Um,
big card right now in Amber
Olaf.
decks.
Wow, that's
Fire the Cannons is a classic.
a big shout out to Matt Chapman. They're a pretty diverse artist here. I mean, sometimes you see artists who are like, I do Olaf, right? Like I do a mean Olaf, and I got a lot of Olaf characters, and
Yeah.
he's got like some of everything. Also, the irate chef,
I was about to say that one.
Meat Hut Cook, aka Chip, ROVT Cup.
That's right. But yeah, exciting. Croquet Mallet was a card I had a lot of fun with in my Jafar Wheel deck.
Of course you did.
But, yeah. You rub my lamp. But yeah, that's it for the artist showcase. If you want to see more illustrations by Matt Chapman, we will have a link in the description to their Instagram or their art station or wherever they host their art online. And that's going to do it for the episode. If you are joining us on audio, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
And if you're joining us on YouTube, which if you're not, you really should. We have a lot of fun over here. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and catch us in all of our other amazing content. Deck Test Tuesday, the Meta Report, pack openings, live reacting to D23 videos. That's happening right now. You're missing it. Get over there. Come back to this. You can come back to this later. So be sure to join us for all of that.
Yeah, and we understand your time is valuable, so we appreciate you spending some of it with us. If you'd like to follow along as we plot our devious plans like the Black Cauldron Cup, you can find us at all the socials at Rules of Villainy. We also have a growing community on Discord, which you can join with the link below. So until next week, stay safe, fellow villains, and be wary of wannabe heroes who want to disrupt your villainous plans. And as always, remember the rules of villainy.